going? It's going. You know, it's been so long since I've done this that I almost forgot how to start my camera. I feel like I need to make a video at least once a year to explain why I'm not making videos. It's really pretty simple. So, you know, in my email, I get notifications when people comment on videos on my channel. Most of the time, honestly, the comments are so effing stupid that I don't even bother to finish reading them. All this pseudo-archaeology stuff, frankly, is getting boring. I can think of so many other things that I would rather be spending my time on than having the same argument over and over and over again. 2021 was a pretty eventful year. I relearned how to play my guitar this year. I've been writing music again. I taught myself how to play the drums. I spent a lot of time with my kids. I published real papers on real archaeology. I worked outside in the garden. We finished moving from South Carolina. I helped my parents move from Ohio. Life has been very, very full. So I love, in some ways, that you guys are still watching and still willing to argue. Atlantis, Blavatsky, Giants, whatever. But man, it's just the same thing over and over and over again. And life is too short. You know, I turned 50 this year. 50. So, I don't know what the age demographic of my viewership is here, but you know, you can be 49 in 364 days, and then you can be 50, and you can be 50 in 1 day, whatever. So, it did feel like a switch went off, where you know, a lot of things become, let's say, work not as well as they used to as you get older. You know, your body breaks down, you start to forget stuff, whatever. If there is an organ or something in my body that could be labeled the give-a-shitter, my give-a-shitter broke when I turned 50. So I honestly don't give a crap anymore. You know, most of the comments on my channel are negative. You guys are free to hate me, bring it on, whatever. Most of you have zero fresh ideas. When I do bother to respond and say, hey, give me your strongest piece of evidence for such and such a claim, blah, 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 it's crickets. It's nothing. So you got nothing. If somebody had something new to say that wasn't said in 1850s or the 1890s or 5 years ago or whatever, hey, maybe that would be interesting. I've gotten a couple emails this year of new swords from Swordgate. You know, Swordgate was interesting because I think it was back in 2015. It was an actual claim that was backed up by actual quote-unquote evidence, and the person who put forth that evidence, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer, tried to defend it as best he could. He got slaughtered doing that and lost all of his credibility, but he tried, so that's what made it fun. A lot of you are just recycling stuff that you read somewhere else. You have no context. You don't understand the history of it. You're not willing to actually put any energy into defending it other than say, do your research, bro, do your research, go look it up, go Google it. So, it's boring. I did get an email this year. Joe Taylor here has a new edition of this book, which, you know, this picture on the front, I wrote a blog post on a while ago, because I saw it passed around the internet as like, oh, here's a guy standing next to a bone, and this person must have been this big, and that's a human femur. It turns out that this is just a sculpture bone that he created based upon some letter, the original of which is lost or whatever, saying that, you know, the femur was this long, so he made a femur, and there it is. That's not evidence of anything. But anyway, he emailed me. He wanted to send me this, thinking that maybe I could criticize it or whatever. I got it. I thought, oh, well, you know, it's a lot of the same stuff. There's no... It just goes through these things. It's really similar to these books on giants that are based on newspaper clippings, where here's a newspaper clipping, here's a newspaper clipping, here's one, they all have the same thing in them. It doesn't amount to a hill of beans. If you can't show me, you know, what is your strongest one? What is the one that actually proves any of this stuff? And, you know, I've looked at a lot of them. They all fall apart. So I did not read through this in detail. There are a few interesting things in it, I suppose, and he does, I believe, point out some things as hoaxes, which is good. But you'd have to read through the whole thing. There's something on the Chupacabra. Who built the monuments in Peru? Reptilians? I don't know. Probably the Peruvians. They weren't called that then, but, you know, just a guess. The people who live there. There was something in here, one of these that I actually spent a little bit of time looking into. See if I can find it. Blah, blah, blah. It was something about, it was an impression of some machinery in bedrock that he thought must be very, very ancient and date as old as the bedrock. And I think I have a pretty good guess as to what it actually is. I'll save that for another video. Anyway, thank you, Joe Taylor, for sending me the book. I do appreciate it. I don't hate you guys. I just, you know, it gets boring, honestly. You're in, a lot of you are in a belief system, which is fine. You know, believe whatever you want. You don't like to hear otherwise. If you want to play the fact game, which is kind of more the arena that I like to operate in, we can talk facts or whatever, but it has to be something that hasn't already been debunked or shown to be untrue over and over and over again. It's tedious. It's boring. I wanted to look at my YouTube channel here. You guys aren't going to be able to see the screen. I'm not that sophisticated that I can do both these things at once, but I have 526 subscribers now, and that is by doing almost nothing. I don't really feed the channel. 9 months ago, I made a video that I was splitting my content into 2 different channels because I had it all kind of confused. So I do art stuff, and I haven't done anything on that channel either, frankly. It's a lot more fun to actually create and do things than it is to worry about making sure other people see them. But anyway, before that, for the last year, I got stuff from field school on there. How many more videos? All the field school videos. I haven't made a video debunking anything probably since I taught the class when I was at South Carolina, Forbidden Archaeology. Those are the ones that people really like. Jim Vieira came and gave a talk in my class. That's been viewed 8.2 thousand times. Talked about Blavatsky's secret doctrine. You know, that was a video that took me a few minutes to make and viewed 3,000 times. Blah, 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 blah. When Josh Reeves accused Graham Hancock of plagiarism, that one got a lot of views, almost 3,000. The Graham Hancock stuff, you know, I meant to get back to that book. He got really upset at me when I said that he didn't have an original idea or whatever, and he pointed out that I'm not inside his head, which is a fact. I am actually not inside his head. But I think it's when you start getting into all these ideas that are kind of endlessly recycled and chewed around, hey, what do I know? Blah, blah, blah. Is archaeology a science? Squaring the circle, that one gets a lot of comments. People still don't understand the point of the video. There's the fact bucket videos from my class. This is the one that people really like. So this video on the Lovelock Cave, red-haired giants of Lovelock Cave. My internet is so slow here, that's another reason. This was an example video I made. I put it up on YouTube so my class, who was going to use YouTube, could see kind of the format or the structure of how to make, or how I wanted them to make. I'm not an expert at this. How I wanted them to make like a quick, 5-minute, 8-minute video or whatever on a particular issue. Explain the topic, go into the history of it a little bit, explain what's interesting about it, why it's wrong, whatever. Use images as a way to try to understand how to use YouTube to communicate to people. So the reason I made this video was because I see this all the time. People say that, this. Boy, I haven't gotten into this stuff for so long. What's her name? Sarah Hopkins Winnemucca said that there were these giant legends in the cave, and they came and they burned the cave and it's cannibals and yada yada yada. If you actually go and look at that source, that's not what it says. She doesn't ever actually say they're giants. That's the whole point of the video. Those were like the guardrails of the video. But people want to argue about every other aspect. Well, you didn't look at this. Well, it was the miners who did this, and it was the bat guano, and it was the Smithsonian who came and took it. And what about this giant legend? And what about Atlantis? When two fighters get into a ring, it's a ring. There's there's guardrails, or there's boundaries to it, so that you can agree on what the rules are, and you get in there and you decide, who's going to win that match. So if you want to have a discussion about a fact, that's kind of the way to do it. If you start bringing in all this other stuff all the time that is tangential or not even relevant, it makes it really, really hard to have a discussion. So if you like to confuse the issue and just say, well, what about this, what about this, what about this, and play the whataboutism game, you can win the whataboutism game, because I'm not going to play, because it's a stupid game. This video is about whether or not this person said X, Y, and Z, which is the claim, that this person said X, Y, and Z. That claim is not true. If it's true, find me in her writings where she said X, Y, and Z. That's all I'm saying. She didn't say X, Y, and Z, so you cannot... Whoops. My memory card filled up. This is an older camera, and there are a bunch of files on there that no matter how many times I try to remove the little key icon protecting them from being deleted, it won't let me. So I guess I will forever own all the original files of me attempting to play Guerrilla Radio on the drums this summer, because they will never go away. I'll just have to buy a new memory card or a new camera. I could do that. This one's actually powered by a tiny steam engine. So anyway, I'm not really sure where I was. I guess my takeaway points are pseudo-archaeology gets really boring if we talk about the same stuff over and over and over again. If that's my potential life, doing that versus doing other things that are enriching, that's what I'm going to choose to do. So you guys have got to do a little bit better than insulting me and saying the same thing over and over again, because that's boring. All I do is just delete the emails. The comments can't stand. Whatever. Say something new. Say something that, like, your grandfather couldn't have also said. Try, figuring out a piece of evidence that hasn't been chewed over and over and over again. Try actually, when somebody challenges you, try making a fact-based, evidence-based argument. And if you are open about it, you will understand how flimsy the vast, vast majority of this stuff is. And I got to tell you, when I first started getting interested in this stuff as a kid, watching In Search Of and other things, and I was still into it in college, even when I was studying archaeology, I thought, man, maybe there's really something to this. But if you train yourself to actually look at the facts and be able to critically evaluate them and separate them into piles of things that hold up under scrutiny and things that don't, and then discard these as parts of the story that you're trying to create, you're going to find that you're left with stuff that mostly matches up with what the quote-unquote evil mainstream archaeologists are telling you, I'm sorry to say. One of my favorite analogies is the coffee analogy. I like coffee. I like a nice strong cup of coffee. If I want to make a nice strong cup of coffee, I cannot start with a weak cup of coffee and keep adding more weak coffee to it. You actually have to start with a good strong cup of coffee, because everything else that you add to that dilutes it, and then you are no longer drinking a strong cup of coffee. So if you want a narrative of the past that makes sense, you have got to discard things, not things that we don't know whether they're right or wrong. Okay, you can play around with those. But things that we know that are wrong, you gotta get rid of them, or else you're never gonna create a narrative that's believable, because I will look at it and I'll go, well, your whole story is based upon this account of red-haired giants in Lovelock Cave that are cannibals. And I will go back to the source and I'll go, that's a bunch of baloney. That doesn't say that. That source doesn't say that. So therefore, I'm not going to believe anything else in your tale. You've got to sift through it yourself. That's called actually doing your own research, bruh. So that's what I would attempt to do if I were you, if you want somebody to listen to you. But please, keep the comments coming. I can't promise I'll care. I can pretend. I break all the social media rules because I don't really make new videos very often. I don't interact with my users, whatever. But you guys keep on watching, and you keep on throwing all the love my way. So keep it coming. And if you've got something really actually new or interesting, not a rock that looks like a head, or some article from 1870 that you think you're the first one to read, even though it's been in every single book that's come out in the last decade. Maybe that would be fun to talk about, but it has to be something kind of new or interesting. And I really haven't seen a whole heck of a lot of that this year, and it's actually been kind of nice. It's been a break because, like I said, I'd rather be playing the drums, playing the guitar, playing with my kids, whatever, enjoying the wide open prairie skies of central Illinois. So have a good holiday season. Try to do something interesting in 2022. Go down the rabbit hole all you want, but try to poke your head out once in a while and connect with reality. That's my advice to you. Even though you didn't ask for it. You guys give me a lot of advice that I didn't ask for, so that's my gift back. See you later.